Hey, welcome back to Spotlight, where we dive into deeper ideas spiritually and use some science to figure out the answers to it all. I'm here with my co-host, Love. Love, how you doing?
Doing good.
All right. My name's Dan. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment, and share ideas. Give us some feedback so that we can help you help us, because we need all the help. We need help. Yeah, let's just dive right into it. So we have a bunch of notes here. Very random notes, to be honest. Nothing's like on par with each other. They're just all very random. We have Tuvan throat singing. Tukin. Is that how you spell it?
Tuvan. Yeah.
Yeah, Tuvan. Okay, that sounds right. Tuvan throat singing. Where the fuck did this come from? This is not my note. I've watched these videos, but this is not my note, guys. Not my note.
Yeah, it popped up on my YouTube, and I thought it was really interesting.
Were they the Ukrainian guys? The white kid? He
No.
wears the beanie?
No, so it's, I forget his name, but he learned from a gentleman that is credited with bringing Tuvan throat singing to the United States, who actually apparently is in Minnesota.
Hey!
But he trained with him. And now he does, videos where he's teaching it. So, I don't know. I thought it was cool. I have a lot of blocked energy in my throat chakra. So I've been looking for new and creative ways to sort of work with that. And yeah, there's a lot of vibration in this style of singing. So
yeah, I obviously I can't do it. So that's cool because there's a practice, and there's a yoga practice. There's an exercise in a yoga practice. There's so many different types of yoga. Mm-hmm. And when they start saying the words and you go to classes, I'm like, all right, you guys lost me. There's one specific exercise where they'll hum at the end.
Oh yeah, the mudras.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I went to one class and they did this whole exercise around the mudras. Mm-hmm. And so it's you breathe in.
Yeah, there's a different one for each chakra.
And you go as long as you can. So that is interesting because that's I would say that's where the Tuvan throat singing kind of comes from. Maybe not. But it's vibrations, like you're saying. It's all vibration. And, well, hey, that's what music is. That's what this world is. It's just a constant vibration of electrons going blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I think that stuff is really cool. And I've legitimately tried it. I've watched videos on how to, do it. And it's just, I don't think I have it in me. I might if I continued it, but I ain't pursuing that shit. Nope, I'm good. But it's cool. It's very cool. So, hey, go check that guy. Go check that guy out, guys. Go check it out. Go check it out. Let's look at our notes and look at a bunch of other crap we got. So I'm reading this book. We've talked about the book in the past. I already forget the name of it. It's
The Universal Human.
The Universal Human. Look, she's just listening to the book. She listens to 14 other books and she knows the name. I don't even know the name. And there's a little skirt here. It's a whole paragraph. Not reading it. Last two says, the old economy is one of our reflections. It shows us the brutality of the parts of our personalities that exploit instead of contribute. To me, that is a very powerful statement because I think that is what our society is today. We are in a society of, especially the internet, of clickbait, of moving the markets in a way where the CEOs or the bosses or people higher up are benefiting more. And I hate that.
It operates off of this notion that there's not enough to go around.
Yeah.
And we all know that that's a lie, but we're also faced with this reality of the fact that some people obtain more than others, and are they willing to share it?
No. Nobody, like these rich CEOs are not. Not
and
all.
if
Not
you
all.
were to obtain it, would you share it?
So,
Because there's also this like this old like adage of like the rich don't get rich by giving it away. But
wait, I saw a quote the other day. The rich get rich or America got rich by or what was it? America got rich by having free labor. It was some shit like that. Like, these big companies have gotten to where they're at because of free labor.
Mm-hmm.
Because of fucking child labor. Exploiting. And so this book is really based around changing your universal earth, as they call it, to how can you contribute. That's what this chapter really specifically talked about, is contributing to your self. It's really where it starts. Self, society, self, community, no, backtrack. Self, personal, meaning your close relationships, your community, the people in your community, I want to say globally, which is the people outside of your community. You could even break it down to regional. Mm-hmm. How, and then globally, the whole world, the universal.
Well, especially because a lot of us were raised on this very
traditional
and very Catholic idea of love is self-sacrifice. And that's very permeating in colonialism. And the truth is, that's a lie. Yeah. Self-sacrifice is not love.
Well, you know what's crazy? Hold on, can you just make sure your mic's on? Is it up?
Yes.
Okay. I have the volumes turned down and they're not showing up in the audio thing, and I'm just paranoid right now about it.
You're good.
So there's this crazy like, I always have these crazy thoughts, and like I like trying to explore them because it's like meta thinking. It's very deep, esoteric thinking. I lost it. It's gone into the ether. Oh my gosh, what were we just talking about?
Self-sacrifice.
I sabotaged myself with the whole anxiety of the fucking audio. Self-sacrifice. Contributing to the community, your earth, contributing rather than exploiting. I don't know where the thought is. It's gone. It's completely gone. That's the thing with esoteric thinking and deep thinking, is that you really have to like narrow in on just that thought to really dive deeper into that thought. And that's why, some people are like, oh, that's like a high thought, or that's like some stoner. There's a lot of brilliant things that could be said when you're high or you're in that state, that stony space. It's, you might be spaced the fuck out and I don't know where you're at, but like, you're somewhere, and I get really good fucking thoughts.
Yeah, your really epiphanies.
There's Chris Stefano, Christy D. He's a comedian, one of the guys I listen to, and he was talking about, he has this thing called Anxiety Tuesdays. I don't even think it's just him releasing a podcast on a Tuesday. That's what Anxiety Tuesdays is. He talks about where he gets his best ideas from. And it's usually from walking, he says. Like, you get some good ideas in the shower, it's nice. But like the best ideas, he says, he gets from walking. And I'm like, I think I do too. And so I started recognizing that. And we were on a walk yesterday me and Kaylee were walking the dogs at night, and I realized that. I'm like, I do. Like, I really I'm a thinker when I walk.
So, walking meditation is really useful for a number of reasons.
Whoa.
You're moving your body, and which helps you be in the moment more. You also have a horizontal view, which gives you a perspective of being small, but also it gives you like a distanced, a future perspective. And so that can really stimulate your brain in a lot of really useful ways.
Walking meditation. I just imagine walking with my eyes closed. Running into everything.
You don't have to have your eyes closed to meditate.
Meditation is just recognizing when you're really truly meditating, sitting down, doing it the Buddhist way.
You're just being.
Right. You're focusing on your breath. Because that's here and now. Your breath is constant here and now.
Even a hyper focus on the breath could be considered outside of meditation. The idea is to just exist.
Right.
Without running thoughts. You can have thoughts, you just aren't grabbing onto them.
There was an exercise I did in this leadership program. I've talked about the eye-to-eye one, where you stand in front of each other, face-to-face, a very intimate experience. There's another exercise where this guy, the leader, the guy who's teaching the course, I think he does it, he picks the person out who's like the most naive, it seems like. Or it was one of the people in the class who had a lot to say. A lot of questions, a lot of this. So we called her up and said, come here. Let's do this real quick. And then he sat her down and he said, vanilla or chocolate? And she's like, chocolate? Because da-da-da-da-da-da. And so she went on this whole explanation of why she wanted to choose chocolate. He's like, vanilla or chocolate? Eventually it got to a point where she was just like, chocolate. And he's like, well, why? And then she's like, because it's just chocolate. He's like, that's it. That's it. That's existing. That's being. That's just here and now. Mm-hmm. There doesn't need to be an explanation from your leadership program. Talked about stories and how we all live in stories. You don't have to fucking... You're creating a story on why you're choosing chocolate based off of a past experience. Mm-hmm. Just choose chocolate because that's what you want right now. You're getting in an argument with, or you're having a tiff with somebody, or you're just, you don't need an explanation for everything. There doesn't need to be an explanation. Unless you're in a court of law and you're fucking on trial for something, then you need evidence and you need proof and all this other shit.
And isn't that the case? We are all walking around on trial in our relationships.
Oh, especially, yeah. 100%. Hold on. We have a note on relationships. We're going to read it. It is boundaries with your relationships. So we just had a little personal conversation before this pod about our relationships and how we have to set boundaries and how it can be difficult. Just like you just had a recent experience. I just had a recent experience. And it was eating me alive that I did not say anything to this person or these people about this situation. And finally, I said what I had to say to set my boundary with that person. And it was hard. I read we were texting. And in this situation, it's with business, so it's smarter to kind of put things into writing. I said what I had to say, and it's not that the person wasn't happy or sad about it. It's they just had to accept what I said, and if they want to continue in this business adventure, they need to make a decision if they want to invest into this craft or not. It's in regards to music.
So boundaries are really, really good for reinforcing our value in ourselves. And I think one of the reasons they can be so difficult is because we're all a bunch of people pleasers running around worried about how we're affecting other people because we are self-sacrificing.
Do you see anything in your kid, Tommy? Do you see anything like... I guess a better question is, based off of your experiences and where you're at in your life and the shit you've gone through and the constant battle of moment to moment as we all are dealing with, like, what are you teaching Tommy?
You know,
like what's your philosophy as being
raising him? One of the things that I had to learn really quickly is, unlike your traditional neurotypical child, Tommy will not... He's not very susceptible to manipulation.
Sure.
And like, even when he was a toddler, and that's one of the like main stages where kids will learn to be manipulated and to manipulate.
And you know, that goes to the traditional way of thinking, is that's how kind of we were raised, because my mother manipulates the shit out of me now, and it's very hard to deal with. And if she wants to admit it or not, I have become that manipulative way, let's call it, with my relationship with my girlfriend. And I've recognized it, and I really, like, at this point, I just try to encourage and love more and just be present and allow her to you know, not judge her. Because that's, I think, comes manipulation is opinion.
And when you notice yourself in that state, a really good like practice is to just get curious. Like, why do I feel like doing this? It's a roundabout way of getting something that I need.
Yeah.
And I think that this person can fulfill that need. Can they? Maybe. Do they want to? Maybe. Do they need to? Probably not. You could probably do it for yourself. And although we like to fulfill needs for each other, and especially in a romantic relationship, that's one of the beauties of those relationships, is you agree to share your life together and occasionally meet each other's needs. But that's also on the grounds that you're going to do everything you can to meet your own needs first.
You know what's crazy to me, and that, like, I look, my father committed suicide. And now every love relationship, whether it's my girlfriend, whether it's family, like, I don't want to feel abandoned anymore. And I recognize that early. And so, but that's one of my constant battles that I deal with, is like that abandonment feeling, or that somebody I love is just going to go away. You know, that's something I deal with hard in my relationship with Kaylee right now. And I think she understands that. It's amazing having the support that she gives me. And what's crazy to me is that people in my life, like, I see these people walking around not happy. Friends that I used to be friends with for so long, just like, we were on each other's paths for a while, and then that ended because that's not my path anymore, and I don't want to be surrounded by that negative energy. There was positive energy, but most of the time they, I think, unintentionally created this negative energy that was not for me. It made me go insane. It gave me anxiety so much anxiety. And man, another thought lost. Just gone into the ether. It'll come back. But just. Oh, there it is. It's back. The relationship with Kaylee is in such a perfect place, and I'm constantly having to put it into a perfect place. And not like everything's not perfect, obviously, but like in my way of thinking, I you know.
Harmonious.
Harmonious. Keeping a balance. Keeping the relationship balanced in my mind. And by loving more, that turns into, you know, both of us loving more. So she has friends, she has people in her life whose lives are in shambles. Her one friend's just in a really bad place in her relationship with her husband. She had another friend who was just like in a bad place with a relationship, and just like it broke up randomly. Like there's just like so many, like, here's me and Kaylee, here's our bubble with our dogs and our home, and our outside world is fucking chaotic. I'm like constantly fighting with that. Almost like, why do I deserve somebody like Kaylee, my girlfriend, when the world as her and I know it around us, everybody in our lives are kind of in fucking shambles. Their relationships are going crazy. This person has this person has that. We're not perfect, but like, in my mind, I'm like, how much farther is this going to go? When's this going to end? But then, you know, I
think to some degree that is almost healthy, because
that's
you don't have an attachment built in. You are ready and sort of willing to accept that you don't hold her. She's not yours forever. And while you can each day come and agree to, yep, today we're gonna stay together today, and you approach each moment as if it's a gift.
Yeah.
Instead of just a given. And I think a lot of the way we were raised with relationships is very much built on like this ownership of the other person, which is, you know, so fucked up.
And I think what comes with the manipulation is constantly trying to prove to the other person. Because of my mother has had a lot of influence on my life, and so did my dad. And like with my dad, it was all like just guy shit. It was like guy energy. Just, you know, that he turned me into a good fucking man, a good man that a lot of this world needs. And that's my mission in life, is to fulfill that gap in the world, is to bring more fucking better men out, with intention, not just because it's a manipulation. Man, another thought gone. It's because I keep tangenting. Yeah, it's just so hard to keep the balance, man. Fucking hard. But so that I'm always constantly questioning myself about my relationship, especially with Kaylee, because that's my most intimate relationship. How can I just show love to her? That's it. Not sexually, just mentally, just spiritually, like, just encourage her. Like, she called me from the grocery store yesterday, and I was like, hey babe, you're doing good. You know, like, I may have not listened to anything she said, because she just might needed to call me to kind of just get a feeling. It was something about dinner. And I'm just like, whatever you want, you're doing great. And, you know, like, she's like, oh, thanks. You know, like, that's what I like to look for in a relationship, is that's where the balance is. And so, you know, I'm trying very hard to not manipulate my relationships, and it's really hard to jump out of that traditional way of thinking.
It is, especially because a lot of us were essentially trained into it.
Yeah.
Especially if you grew up in the 90s. Like, our parents were interesting.
well, they think they knew the answers to everything.
Well,
and then
I think they felt like they were required to have the answers to everything, and so that kept them from looking for better answers. And so they just went with what they had, and they had to put on this like front of we've got this because we're the adults now. Whereas I think the difference between them and like the millennial generation is we looked at it and we were like, yeah, we don't know what the fuck we're doing.
Yeah. But we were I've always told my friends growing up, I feel like I've always been the person, and maybe I'm just blowing myself up here. I've always been the person with the answers. Let's say in my friendships with my friends growing up. Like, I always was optimistic. I always looked ahead, and I was very gullible. I still am, and that's why I think I've always gotten taken advantage of, because I'm just of that good gullible spirit. I've always said us millennials are going to fix this world and change it. We're going to change it and fix it. I don't know how. I don't know. I've always had that feeling inside me, and I still have that feeling inside me. I
think a huge piece of it is just allowing progress.
Yeah.
Where I feel like I've noticed previous generations, they have a very tight grasp on what they know, and change is scary. I admit it. Change is fucking terrifying. But I think as an entire generation, like boomers in particular, they held on to what they knew because they didn't know how to regulate themselves to go through change. And I think that's kind of what's nice about like the younger generations is they have access to the information that is teaching them how to regulate themselves so they can move through change more efficiently and with a lot less like collateral damage.
You know what kills me, like it cracks me up, kills me kind of way, is that like the way my father raised me, he winged it 110%. He was telling me stories when I was 12 that he should be telling me at like 16, 17, 18. You know, talking about his Navy days, how he's like, boy, you probably got brothers and sisters all over the world. That's what I'm saying. Like, I should be hearing that shit when I'm younger. But like...
But he was authentic.
That, and he winged it. He just winged it, and I see it in a lot of these comedians that I follow on their podcasts that, like, they have a 10-year-old son, and they're just telling, what the fuck are you doing? You know, like, they're being authentic.
Yeah.
And
it's okay for them to be seen as fallible.
And not to shit on my mom, and I love my mom, but when she started reading parenting books, that's where it all fucking went to shit for me. Not her being a mother towards me, but just mentally for me, I'm having a breakthrough right now. That's kind of the moments where like I hate it because I do it now, is that I'm constantly comparing myself to other people. And I used to get compared to. And you know, my mother did that. Yeah. I hate doing this, and talking about her in this way.
She had good intentions. She was reading those books to find the right thing, to be the best parent she could. But you can't tell someone how to parent a child. The child teaches you how to parent them.
Right.
They show you what they need. They give you feedback. And yeah, you can try a lot of different things. There's no problem with having new techniques. But if you're so like concrete on the techniques you're using, it might not be meeting your child's needs.
Yeah.
It might not be moving the needle forward for that child.
Never.
And if you don't teach the child that they have the freedom to give you feedback, to like tell you, this feels good, this works for me, then you guys aren't growing.
Where do you see Tommy in like 10 years from now? Him as a 21-year-old, let's say. How old is he?
Doing whatever the fuck he wants to do.
Oh, yeah, no shit. No shit. See, and that's... I think that's an important answer, because you can say... Because the things you might say, you're like, oh, he might become a physicist or some shit. I don't know. I'm just making up something. That could be your dream. So that was probably the best answer, is whatever he wants to do, because he's going to make that decision. But I say it in a way of like, where like you...
What do I have hopes for him?
Yeah. You know his interest.
My hopes for him is that he is self-sufficient.
Yeah.
That he is able to take care of himself, and to both mentally and physically. That he has autonomy, and that he's pursuing something that he loves.
And he's a leader in it, because your son is a smart motherfucker. Mm-hmm. And he's very aware of everything.
Like, do I constantly try to be like, hey, you want to try this and see if you're good at it and see if you like it? Hey, you want to try this? And I'm constantly getting a no.
And I think that's a lot of it, though, is I guess as a parent you kind of have to do that, because you know, I would have never known that I love dirt bikes.
Well, especially because, like, I didn't get asked
Right.
as a kid if I wanted to try things.
You were raised very differently.
I never thought to be like, hey, I want to do this. I wasn't going to ask. Like, I was waiting to be invited.
Right.
And part of that is like this growing up in this whole like people pleaser culture. And you are either a people pleaser or you've completely rejected it, and low key you might be a manipulator.
Well, you know, that's funny. When I was so in the beginning of this conversation, you talked about money. If you had the money to do it, to do whatever, to change the world or whatever the fuck you want to do. You know, I was going to say that I kind of already done it, and I selfishly was not contributing. Although I was contributing to my dreams and my aspirations. So like there's we can go deeper on that, but we don't have to right now. When I was racing and I was able to fund my dreams by traveling, by going to races, by traveling with others, going to dirt bike parties, whatever. Well, like we would ride for 2 days on a weekend, and then the first day we'd get hammered, just have a huge bonfire. It was a great time, and then we'd turn into fucking moto heads after, or not drunk and riding, but just, you know, the next day we would like train hard. We would really train fucking hard, and you know, that was a very fun lifestyle. I miss it so much. I'll get back there one day. Just I won't be able to do it as hard as I used to. Anyways, we would, I would wait for that invite, and half the time I would just kind of invite myself because that was kind of the move back then. But then, you know, now looking back at it, it's like, as much as I enjoyed it, and I would go back and do it all again, I never got invited to any of this. Like, we all just kind of showed up, and but now it's ironic, because now I get invited to things, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. You know, so it's like, that's something I've struggled with, but now I think it comes back to just continue to work on myself, stay in my bubble, you know, allow certain things to happen in my bubble, open up certain things, you know.
I heard something recently in Wired for Worthy. I forget the woman that brought it up, but I absolutely loved it. You know how we talk about FOMO?
Yeah. Fear of missing out.
JOMO. The joy of missing out.
The joy of missing out.
Because you're choosing to do something with your time that is authentic to you, to connect the way you want to connect, and to move in the direction you want to move.
I tell people that, I don't tell many people, but I've told a few people that I'd rather sit in my room for 8 hours and work on a kick drum for a fucking track that might not exist for another 2 years that I'm going to use that kick drum in. But I enjoy, like when I talk to your father, I enjoy the storytelling. That's what I've learned to love now as I've gotten older, and it's the storytelling of everything. I love hearing stories from people. Even if they're, like, I love hearing stories and in kind of a manipulative type of way, but like not being manipulative. I like to ask them questions that are not normally asked. You know, like, you know,
So what I would say about that is that's less manipulation, because if you're asking questions like that, someone is inviting you to ask those questions. And a lot of times the greatest teachers teach by asking good questions.
Yeah.
They don't tell you the answers. They help you learn to think differently, to find your own answers.
And that's it. We just got to keep searching for those answers, keep going, keep breathing. And that's it.
And if you want to get into the Alan Watts lectures I've been listening to.
Oh, you listen to Alan Watts.
Yeah.
Let's save that for the next one.
There are no answers, and it's not hard. You're just making it that way.
Exactly.
Because you've got ADHD and you're bored and you're understimulated.
Yeah, I can get. Look, we're gonna start getting into it, guys. Thanks for stopping by here on Spotlight. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please share, give us feedback, like, comment, share more, because this is a lot of fun. And I think if you've listened to these episodes, you see the growth. I see the growth. I feel the growth, and I want to keep going.
Yeah, if you want a guest, hit us up.
Yeah, dog. All right, love. Good talking to you. Talk to you in the next one.
Peace.
Yeah.